What is your number one issue? What do you wish our politicians and media, I'll take the hit. What should we be talking about more? Let's go to the CCO Talk and Text line. Jeff in Minnetonka is on the line. Jeff, number one issue for you.
Well, clearly the fraud would be the number one issue, and the Democrats' inability to reel it in and control it and find it and do something about it. In the frustration I have with the Republican convention, I haven't voted for Republicans since the days of Arnie Carlson, because they put people in who are too extreme. And they had two really good options in Lisa Demuth and I can't remember the name of the other one running for Senate.
Michelle Tafoya.
People who are more moderate, Lisa Demuth has shown her ability to work with the Democrats in the Minnesota House, and they don't go after her. They don't want her. They want people who are just dogmatic, and they haven't learned that they haven't won a statewide election in like 20 years. And then they do this asinine thing with a moment of silence for a murderer. It just blows my mind how out of touch they are and how they just have no interest in having somebody elected.
Yeah. Yeah, I really thought, Jeff, the main question out of this weekend for me, for both parties, is how serious are they about appealing to the middle? And the answer I'm left with is not that serious, right?
Right.
Because the DFL has decided that Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan should be the candidate for Senate. She is for sure to the left of Congresswoman Angie Craig. Now, Amy Klobuchar had no real serious progressive candidate running against her, but the DFL convention still voted 27% or so for someone who 2 years ago was a Republican staffer, and now she is saying she's more progressive, and they were like, all right, I don't know. It's just sort of, you as an outsider, you do look and think like, can't we talk about fraud or taxes or something?
Yeah, both parties don't get it. They put the crazy left or right in power, and then us in the middle are just shaking our heads at how out of control the state is for giving away money in this case, and the fraud. It just blows me away.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it. Thanks for listening and calling. Only guys named Jeff are being allowed on the air today as we go to Jeff in the East Metro. Welcome to Jeff Radio, Jeff.
Hi, Jason. Love your show. My number one thing would be, regardless of the party, the state needs to implement an architecture of fraud prevention, a set of predefined controls that every bill, regardless of the type of bill, would have to pass through to ensure the controls are built in the front end. A lot of the politicians today are talking about identifying fraud and going after fraud. It's far better to prevent fraud. In my career, I had to work on system reviews of systems being developed, and we would build the controls in during the early design and analysis of the systems. I also had to work on fraud detection and addressing fraud as well. So I've seen the whole picture. It's far, far cheaper and better to prevent the fraud in the first place rather than trying to track it down later.
And you're never going to claw all that money back. You have to prevent it on the front end, right?
Well, and in a large organization I worked at, my mentor wisely said, it's happening, we just don't know about it. So fraud happens in every organization.
Of course, yeah. Jeff, you raise an interesting point, too, because the idea of building in fraud prevention into the architecture, I think there's sort of an obvious side of this that people think like, well, yeah, that's, if you have better computers and AI, you can detect it. But I think it also goes to the design of the programs. And that's where some of us are saying, like, I don't want Minnesota's sort of history of being generous, of helping people who need help. I don't want to see that undermined by a system that is poorly designed such that people can take advantage of it. I want to still be able to
Right.
help people who need it. I just want to trust that my money is being used in a smart way.
Yeah, it's an architecture of business process design. And a big part of it is defining the responsibilities of who is doing what in terms of monitoring and control. Yes, some of it is smart in edits and system controls that are built in, but another part of it is people reacting to exceptions, things that are unusual. And those things have to, and what I'm saying is define all of that, the 10 things that have to be in place before any bill is passed that will prevent fraud. And that's not being discussed at all.
Jeff, thank you. Good call. 651-461-9226. My number one issue, says a texter, how are we going to build St. Paul? Now, that texter is getting close to what my number one issue is. And I think we're at a crossroads in Minnesota where we need to make a decision. And it doesn't have to be go one way or go the other. But we are not talking in any sort of serious way about building Minnesota, more jobs, more company, more residents. We're not talking about growth. The other thing we're not talking about is shrinking the size of government spending to match the reality of our world and the reality of our population. And you see this across every sector of our public life. You see public schools that don't have the enrollment levels that they used to, that are spending more and more, that are talking about building new schools. So if you're going to spend more, you need to grow, because you can't just keep asking the middle class and the homeowners to pay more and more and more. You just can't. And things cost more money, right? People are going to get paid more. We want that. The cost of utility, everything. We all know this, right? In our regular life, everything costs more. Well, everything costs more for government too. But how are we going to line these things up? Everything's going to cost more. Can you keep paying more? Well, there are other options. Growing. And growth in this state has been treated like a four-letter word. Wait, it's only grow is a four. Growth should not be a four-letter word. I believe that we need to grow so we can continue to try to take care of people who are in need, or build amazing public parks, or have these things that we want. And nobody's talking about, like, how do we make the environment better for growth? That's my number one issue. If somebody starts singing that song, I'm intrigued. What is your number one issue? 651-461-9226. Lots of texts coming in. We'll share those. Your calls are welcome here on Drive Time with DeRusha.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks so you can make smarter decisions faster. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
You know that feeling when your body is tired, but your brain just won't shut off? We've all been there. Jordana here. That's where CBN comes in. CBN, short for cannabinol, is a naturally occurring hemp cannabinoid known for its relaxing, sleepy effects. Think of it like the lights dimming signal for your brain. While CBD helps you stay calm, CBN helps your body know it's time to rest. That's why we call it CB Night Night. Mini Leaf Night and Night Plus Sleep Gummies combine CBN, CBD, and CBG to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, and then wake up feeling refreshed. Free shipping this month at minileaf.com, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. Go to minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com, and tell them Jordana sent you.
It's Chris Lindahl with your latest real estate market update. The uncertainty index recently rose to 7.5 out of 10, which ties the highest reading we've ever seen. Houses in our area are staying on the market longer and selling for less than the asking price, or not selling at all. Consumer sentiment has hit an all-time low. With so much uncertainty in world events and the economy, home sellers see listing a house on the open market as an extreme gamble. To compare the risk of listing versus applying for a guaranteed cash offer on your house, go to chrislindahl.com.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's your captain speaking. To the passenger with the Mirror Fast soft chews, smart move.
No way am I letting travel constipation ruin this trip.
Can't blame you. Mirror Fast works fast, but without the harsh side effects.
Since I'm such a smart traveler, can I move to first class?
No. Close the curtain, Carol.
From the makers of Miralax, new Mirafast soft chews work naturally with your body in as little as 30 minutes to give you a comfortable go on the go. Find Mirafast today at your local retailer. Use as directed for occasional constipation. Contains magnesium hydroxide.
Staples presents Celebrations Made Easy.
I was throwing a party for the twins and had custom invites and a banner printed at Staples. And that's when I saw Party City is now at Staples.
Party City? No way!
Yep. So now Staples has all your printing needs and everything you need for a party.
Everything times 2.
Yeah, and now at Staples, save 40% on custom cards, photo gifts, wrapping paper, banners, and more.
Big news! Party City is now at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. In 613, exclusions apply.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
I feel like you're wasting my time talking about something that I wasn't a part of. Like the most intellectually bankrupt. This is just terrible.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
It is Twins Ticket Tuesday, by the way. Twins Ticket Tuesday today. At some point during the show, we will play the Win Twins sounder. And you're going to win some Twins tickets. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. What game are those Twins tickets for, Dan?
They're for Saturday, June the 6th to see the Twins and the Royals. It's a 1:10 first pitch.
Nice.
And if you're at Target Field this Saturday for $2 beers, there's $2 beers until the first pitch, and then you get to watch Byron Buxton and the Twins take on Bobby Witt Jr. and the Kansas City Royals. Cool. You can get your tickets now at twins.com/tickets.
Beautiful. So sometime during the show today, be listening for that. Number one issue for you, because we're talking about a lot of circus, right? Like this stuff. And look, I like a circus. I like politics. I like the fights. I like all of that. But I also today was talking to a friend who's like, oh, my number one issue is, she's like, I have 3 kids under the age of 6. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. And do you think this person is engaged on the clicker gate at the nominating convention or the No. All you know is you went to the gas station and you're like, it's $4.60 for 1 gallon, $70 to fill up the tank. Like, these are sort of the real world issues. Now, I think sometimes you see the limit of if you decide your number one issue is the cost of groceries. Prepare for yourself to be disappointed by whatever the politicians do, because they have some control over some of this stuff. But I believe the president of the United States said he was going to bring gas prices down, and instead we started a war that has sent gas prices skyrocket. I'm not saying like trying to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, that feels like a good idea to me. But if you voted for the guy thinking he was going to reduce the cost of eggs and the cost of gas, my level of trust in politicians controlling the cost of goods that we buy, low, pretty low. Jeff is, it's only 3 Jeffs. We hit the trifecta. 3 Jeffs, everybody. Has this ever happened on WCCO Radio? 3 Jeffs in 1/2 hour.
I figured you needed a hat trick.
Jeff, what's your number one issue?
The budget. I'm really tired of every year waiting for the other shoe to drop. Is there going to be a shortfall? If so, what do we do about it? Is there going to be a surplus? If so, what are we going to do with it? They just leave you hanging, and it doesn't matter what the party is. You just never know what they're going to do.
It's interesting to hear this, Jeff, because you think about, all right, if I were running for governor, how would I communicate a plan that would be believable, where you would say like, this person at least sounds serious about doing the governing, doing the process of governing.
And nobody does that. Nobody says that.
Yeah. Jeff, very good. Thank you. 651-461-9226. Texter says, I'm 58, husband is 62. We're fine. My number one issue is affordability for my kids' generation. The cost of everything is so high for them. It's very interesting. I mean, to me, this issue of affordability is right on the money. But where I see a governor or even a senator from Minnesota having some ability to impact that is in creating an environment that would allow for innovation and growth and new action in this state. And maybe I'm just taking your position and trying to morph it into evidence for mine. That's fine. I'm not going to rule that out. I'm not above that. To break the string of Jeffs, we welcome Kevin in Anoka. Kevin,
good afternoon, sir.
I had to weigh whether or not to take this call. I hate to ruin the streak of 3 Jeffs in a row, but what's your top issue?
My top issue is this spending. We need to have a constitutional amendment in Minnesota that the state budget is limited to 10% of the state's GDP, and they're no longer allowed to accumulate debt, going into debt every other year for north of $1 billion. How much are we paying in interest every year?
Yeah, I don't know. As a state, I mean, we carry a balanced budget. They issue bonding in this state. Do you think do you think limiting it in that way, Kevin, is a good idea though, to put that sort of guardrail around it?
Well, if you don't, we end up with spending $5,000 or $6,000 for every person in the Minnesota, and it keeps going up at 8 to 12% a year. Yeah. Nothing goes up at 8 to 12% a year, and I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay, lay it on me.
We didn't start the war with Iran. We finally responded after 50 years of them slaughtering Americans with absolutely no regard.
So what would you call the process of starting a war then that was a response to 50 years?
You finally fired some shots back after 50 years of not returning fire.
I mean, I think we're splitting hairs, but like I don't disagree that there's been 50 years of provocation there.
Iran declared war in 1979, and they've been murdering people for 5 decades.
What do you?
Americans and Westerners.
All right, Kevin. I allowed you to pick the bone. I don't want to go too far off the path. Sounds like it's the same. Sounds pretty much the same to me. My friend Alex Kendall is in studio with us today because she is joining us here at WCCO Radio.
Filling in.
Yeah.
It's fun to sit here and watch you talk with the listeners and respond to, well, could be anything.
Could be anything. It's a little scary because sometimes you're like, I am not as informed as the listener is. And the listener may be correct, may be wrong. You don't know. And you're trying like real time to like, you want to push back if people are wrong.
Do you leave here sometimes feeling a little wounded?
I mean, I always. It's the typical on-air person. You feel like today I was not respected in the way that I should be. What is your number one issue for Minnesota? You've lived here for a long time.
I have, and I'm going to bring this like very local for the sake of this moment. There is a couple of buildings on Lindale Avenue. This is something that I've been picking the bone with my neighbors about. Since I have retired, there was a fire. These are a couple of buildings, and they have been essentially for 2 years. There's still like a burned out, broken window situation. Nothing has been done. Absolutely not. It's like still a charred remains with ladders on the side of the building. This is right off of Crosstown and Lindale. And I pass it every day. And how is it that you can go for 2 years? I've even actually talked to the mayor about this.
Yeah.
My own private beef.
But it's like
like, come on. Why?
Every day it makes you mad.
Yeah, because it is like, how could you possibly? Is it an insurance issue? Come on, 2 years and looking at a charred remains of 2 buildings, and it's clearly it's
That's
not
right.
a safe building.
This always frosts me because if you're trying to build something, trying to get something done, it is such a difficult process. But if you have a burned out shell, well, you can keep that sucker up forever.
But I mean, it affects everything in the neighborhood. It affects my mood.
Yes, that's
It affects home
valid.
prices.
That's right. Very good. All right. Excellent. Thanks, Allie.